All right, so we're going to be taking a look at the hip. First thing you want to do is always compare bilaterally. We're going to check for any swelling, bruising, ecchymosis, any signs of edema, uh, any bony deformities that look a little out of place. Moving on to palpations. First thing you want to check is the iliac crest. We start up here and move to the ASIS. All right, you want to check the anterior thigh as well. You check the quads. You want to check the sides, lateral hips of the greater trochanter. You also want to palpate the IT bands too. Check for any tightness. All right, turn around, please. All right, I'm going to check the iliac crest from the back. All right, and PSIS as well. All right, greater trochanter from the back. All right, you want to palpate. You want to take a look at the hamstrings as well, posterior thighs. Palpate the glutes. Also, just underneath the glutes, I'm going to palpate for the ischial tuberosities too. Check for any bursitis in the ischial tuberosities. Okay, you can have your athlete do some functional testing as well. Just have them walk down, walk back. You're checking for, any sort of gait discrepancies, any limps or anything like that. We turn around, please. All that, you can do a Trendelenburg test as well. Just have your athlete bring one leg up 90 degrees. All right, and what you're checking for is a drop in the PSIS. A drop in the PSIS indicates that she has a weak glute, and that's something that she could work on for any sort of gait issues. So moving on to range of motion. All right, always have your athlete start with active range of motion. Things that they can do on their own for a baseline reference. So hip extension, flexion. Okay, and hip extension, bring it back. All right, hip abduction, up to the side, hip adduction, coming across like a curtsy. Okay, and we can do, from a standing position, we can do a hip internal and external rotation too. All right, so external rotation, you're gonna come in like you're crossing your leg. All right, and internal rotation, what's coming out. Okay, for passive range of motion, you're gonna have your athlete relax, and you're gonna perform the motions for them. Okay, so hip flexion. All right, and hip extension. All right, relax. Hip abduction. All right, hip adduction. All right, hip external rotation and internal rotation. All right, then we'll have your athlete do resistive range of motion. So it's our active range of motion with added resistance from the clinician. All right, so hip flexion, bring that up. All right, and resist me a little as I'm coming down. Okay, and hip extension. Okay, resist me coming back. Good. All right, and hip abduction, excuse me. All right, resist me coming down. All right, and hip adduction. Okay, resist me coming back. All right, external rotation, bring it in. All right, resist coming out. And internal rotation. All right, so you can also perform brake tests while you're doing these too. So have your athlete slightly flex when doing hip flexion. All right, and hold them in this position and try to break me out of this. So flex up. Okay. All right, now extend. All right, break me out of this position. That's 5 out of 5 strength. Okay. All right, do the same thing with hip abduction. All right, try to break me out of this position. All right, very good. All right, and adduction. Same thing, try to break me. All right, and internal and external rotation. Try to mean to throw you. Okay. Try to break me out of that position. Good. All right, internal rotation. Very good. Okay, so we can move on to some special tests. Lay down, please. Okay, so the first thing that you can start off with is the Thomas test. So you're gonna have your athlete grab their knee and pull it up to their chest. And what you're looking for is their opposite hip to come off the ground. And if you see any movement from the hip coming off the ground, that's an indication that they do have some type of hip flexors. Another way you can test this, can you roll on your stomach, please? Is Eli test. So for this, we're just moving the athlete into full knee flexion. All right, and as we come bring like heel to butt, we're looking for that hip to come off the ground too, and that's another indication of hip flexor tightness. Okay, go back onto your back, please. All right, so another thing we do is hip scouring test. And this one we're looking for any pain in the joint that's indicative of some degenerative issues. So you put the athlete in a 90-90 position and you apply pressure down into the hip joint. And we just do some internal and external rotation and just kind of do a grinding motion right into the hip joint. Okay, so we can also do a Patrick Faber test. So put the athlete into a figure 4. Right, we apply pressure right onto the knee. Feeling any pain?
Mm-hmm. Not pain, just tight.
Okay. Right, from here we can also do a piriformis test. So you take out of that figure 4. And we just bring the knee up. And we can also do Ober's test, and that tests for IT band tightness. So roll on your right side, please. Okay. So bring the athlete's knee to 90 degrees. All right. Lift up and move into extension. You want the IT band to clear the greater trochanter. You just have the athlete relax. And what we're looking for is the leg to drop. There was not a lot of drop there. So that's an indication of a tight IT band. And we're going to roll it out.